Well, we're obviously very excited to be here. I think anytime that you make the NCAA tournament, you don't take it for granted. The only thing you have to do is look around this year's NCAA tournament, and you'll see that a number of programs that are traditionally here aren't, and it's not as easy. Parity. So being here is one thing, and then I think have the opportunity to be here in the Sweet 16 is a great accomplishment in and of itself. For us, being here in LA, which is in the footprint of our conference, is great. And obviously for me, seeing a lot of friendly faces from a place that's very dear to my heart and unbelievably fond memories, and that's competing against Xavier University. So I know that's part of the storyline, and welcome any questions certainly about that. But we're excited to be here, and I think it's going to be a heck of a basketball game, as is usually the case at this level.
Rashawn Haylock, Fox Sports West. Coach, Stanley talked about how receptive he's been to your coaching. What was that like early on when he first stepped on campus as opposed to how it's developed today?
Well, Stanley, the one thing about him is almost from the very second he stepped on campus, he was so decorated, 4 state championships in the state of California, playing at Mater Dei, and all of the accolades were, deservedly so when you look at everything he has done before he got here. But you forget when these guys are in college basketball that they're still 18. And if we had the opportunity to be around Stanley for 3 or 4 years, a lot of the things that you watch him deal with as a freshman, you almost come to say, well, of course, he's a freshman. But because his time in college won't be as long, you judge him by a different standard. And I think Stanley's made all of us better. As coaches, I think he's made obviously his teammates better, but I think the thing that we're the most proud of him is what you asked about, and that is that he has listened and he has tried his best to do what we've asked, and I think it's one of the reasons that our team has been so successful this year.
Zach Braziller, New York Post. Sean, when you look at TJ, could you just describe why he's so valuable to your team and why he's been so essential to your success?
TJ's birthday is today, and to answer that question on the heels of the last one, he's 23. And I think he looked at it as, man, I may be the oldest player that's in the tournament. But it's his experience. That's number one. He knows what to do and how to do it. He does it every day. To me, his talent is as much on defense as it is on offense. And because of that, it's hard when that point guard gives so much of himself on that side of the ball for others not to follow. And I think what he brings to the table is just comprehensive in its ability to make his team win. And that's what we love about him. And to me, that will be his legacy at Arizona. Really, from the moment he stepped on our campus, a lot of great things happened, in large part because he's on our team.
Shannon Russell, Cincinnati Enquirer. Chris talked about how this is difficult for him going against you because of your relationship in the past. Can you speak to that as well, and do you have any good Chris Mack stories?
Well, it is difficult in some ways. I think it'd be more difficult if maybe we were playing in a regular season. But, part of it is I'm just so proud of just watching Xavier and Chris. I mean, this is their 3rd Sweet 16 since I left. They're now in the Big East Conference. And if anybody thought that trajectory was going to stop in terms of Xavier continuing to elevate itself in the world of college basketball, they're obviously wrong. And I'm proud of just looking at where their program is. It's done nothing but just increase and get better, and Chris has done just a great, great job. The hardest part for me, and I try not to think about it, is I coached a lot of players at Xavier, and Joe and Byron were with me the whole time as the 2 radio guys. 8 years, not 5. And in 8 years, there's a lot of players that you grow to love that perform, play in big games, give everything. Like Stanley Johnson gives to me at Arizona. There's so many guys that I watched through 4 years give their heart and soul to make that program what it is. When I think of that, that's the hardest part. But, for me, I've tried to stay focused on our team and getting our team ready for this game because forget the name of the team we're playing. They're a very, very good team, and they're playing their best basketball of the year right now, and we're going to have to really be ready to have an opportunity to win, which I think is all of our goals once we're here. You don't want it to stop. You want to keep it going.
Paula Bovin, Arizona Republican. Two-parter, Sean, totally unrelated, but how agonizing was that decision, you know, reading some from the press conferences when you came to Arizona, making that decision? How tough was that? And if you wouldn't mind also commenting on Herb Sendek, I know you had a relationship for a long time, and just sort of your feelings on what happened.
You know, it's been a long time in many ways. One of the things that makes this somewhat easier is that I don't have as many ties to the team at Xavier. It's been 6 years, so, you know, Chris and his staff have recruited everybody. No longer are those any of my players that I either recruited or coached. But it was a very difficult decision only because of how great of a program Xavier had. I recognized how lucky I was to be the coach there, and I recognized that the best was yet to come. Not to give up on it, but to make a change at that point isn't easy, especially when you're at a place for 8 years that you love, Cincinnati, Ohio, and we still have great friends that are there. You know, we don't get back there as much now because Tucson and Cincinnati are worlds apart, but some of the best friends that we have as a family still live in Cincinnati, so that makes it hard. It's not just the job, it's everything. Your kids, you know, the community, makes it hard. On the second note, I don't know if there's more of a gentleman combination better coach than Herb Sendek. And our conference lost a really, really good person and a great coach.
Hey, Coach. Mark McClellan, CBS 5 in Phoenix. Congratulations on getting back here. I know the last 2 years have not ended like you wanted, and you mentioned the incredible competition, and I'm just wondering, is there any added pressure to get to a Final Four this year, given the way the last 2 years have ended?
You know, there really isn't. You know, do we want to get to a Final Four? Of course. But I'm very proud of the fact that this is the third consecutive year that we've been here. And I think that in and of itself is something for us to be proud of. I think anybody who's done it will reflect back on their journey. And I think unless, you know, Kevin Ollie could be the exception in how UConn did last year, but usually you have to knock at the door a few times before you break it down. We'll see if this is our year. But we have that opportunity. We're one of the last 16 that are remaining, and I think that in and of itself makes us proud, and what we're trying to do is play our best right now. And if we do that based on our season and the team we have, I think we have a chance to advance. But, you know, the thing about the tournament, it's not a 7-game series. In 40 minutes, in 2.5 hours, a lot of different things can happen, and the best overall team doesn't always win. So we have to play the best tomorrow night, and that's our focus. Hopefully that experience you talked about will help us do that.